So heads are trying to conscious max and trying to find a new way to escape this 9 to 5 prison. I think it's pretty funny that everybody's like kind of following this whole thing because of media. Everyone wants the business way out or a way to just get rich quick. I think it's pretty funny, but it's also good that a lot of people are starting to advance for wanting more. They're really trying to stop settling for mediocrity and striving for advancements. They want to enhance their life. They want to find new ways to just live a better life. So, this topic, I'll stop glazing it, but it stops settling and aim for abundance. Basically, this all comes from a mindset. And everything that you're intaking, it needs to be good. Everything that you're outputting, it needs to follow the same like energy that you have with it. So if I'm reading a book, my output needs to like me be more intelligent. Um and then what you like how you digest it is like a big key point. So it's like 30 40 30, you know? Digesting, whether it's food, whether it's knowledge, whether it's, the way we see life, digesting it will do, you can digest the worst stuff, but, if you get only the good out of it and leave the bad away, you'll go so much further. And I know this doesn't really make sense, but let's say if you ate candy, but you only digested the protein and the output was everything else, that's a pretty good digestion system. It's able to only take what it needs. So start doing this with your life. Start only digesting things you need and intake better things. But, going after it, having a mindset that is like indomitable is going to revolutionize every way you operate in your life. As soon as you wake up to the moment you go to bed, you make these conscious decisions, and you start to feel better because you're not conforming to what the world just tells you to be comfortable with. You start wanting to aspire for more, and I think that's great. And I think that's why the entrepreneurial like journey has like revolutionized, because everybody doesn't not everybody wants to be one part of big bubble. I think everybody kind of needs their own air to breathe, and the internet does not really allow you to do that. It's great for answers, recipes, questions when no one knows the answer, but it can get pretty dark pretty fast, and that's why I try to stay away from it. I think you should too if you want to really transform your life, because I'm sure we've all, like myself, have had the days where like we're off from work or school and we spend the entire day on our phone. I'm talking all 16 waking hours, maybe 18, because you got up early and then you went to bed late. Maybe 20 hours. That's a long time just to be on your phone for a day. But then when you wake up the next day, you feel even worse. You feel way like grumpier, slothish, and you start to not like have that much dopamine flowing through your brain because you didn't really rest on your day of rest. You just gave your attention and your time span to something else that had no return. And that's going to be the next thing, is trying to do things in general, but do things that have returns. Um, so if you have downtime, anything else rather than downtime is good. I think replacing time you spend on your phone, like we were just talking about, is a good way to benefit your life. And having a mindset of wanting to do more, wanting to just experience more, learn more cultures, philosophies, ideas, arts, concepts, music, do whatever it is, listen to things that you normally wouldn't. Like, if you listen to metal, start listening to jazz or classical. Um, Vice versa. If you listen to classical, go listen to freaking death metal, some like punk rock. Just try out new things. You know, if you don't eat fish or you don't like shrimp, go eat salmon. Go eat tuna. Um, Maybe mackerel, octopus. Some things we get too scared of for literally no reason, and it all happens in the head, in the mind, in the amygdala, and the cortex. Both of those, both of those two, crucial parts of the brain, really they're the ones that keep us locked in anxiety and timidness throughout our days. Whenever we want to avoid a situation, that's because we've had a bad experience or something similar to it where we don't expect a good outcome to happen, so we go into fight or flight mode. We're all pretty aware of that, but you can go into freeze or fight or flight mode, and that's where the trouble really begins, because if you freeze, you're not fighting, and you're also not getting any distance. You're just sitting prey for no reason whatsoever. Just start telling yourself you can do it, because at the end of the day, you can. If you're going to be delusional and lie to yourself, at least make it like a good lie, because if you're telling yourself you can't do it, that's a lie already. So tell yourself that it's going to go perfectly amazing, no problems, no sweat off my back, off your forehead, nothing. It's a piece of cake walk. Just be delusional in a good way. You don't got a retard max. I don't know where that term came up from, but definitely don't just call yourself a retard. You are smart. You are the smartest creature on this planet. By creature, I mean form of life. Humans are superior than any other animal, so you have that going for you, and you also have breath in your lungs, so that's a reason to try. There's some quote that it was like, the only defeat is all defeat is mental until death, and I think that one low-key blew up. And that's such a good way to phrase it, because everything is mental. If you don't really put any effort into it, you're not going to go anywhere. And this is going to go into my last point of putting in the reps. Doing as much as you can of all these little things. So like your time, whenever you shift your downtime into something better, just something more fulfilling, and see the result of how it changes like your mindset, your behaviors, and then whenever you do it enough times, you'll be able to do a lot more. And the reason I say that is because you'll be able to, once it becomes easier, you'll be able to start to shift, or I guess transform the things that don't have downtime. You start doing more things that you're not accustomed to, or shift one of those things, like if I'm eating breakfast, or if I'm like cooking and eating breakfast and it takes an hour, I can just swap it with a protein shake and fruit, and then work for an extra 45-50 minutes. I don't know what your situation is. Everybody's different, but in the grand scheme of things, you are able to figure out what can be changed in your life. Because I'm sure you're not optimizing 24/7. You don't need to be, but at least like more than half of your time, if you aren't where you want to be at, is a good starting point. Because a lot of it is just downtime. So that's why I say start with that, and then you can start pushing into different aspects of your life. But where I was going is reps. You do it as many times as you can, and you'll notice great results, because studying about something is not the same as hands-on. And once you start to do it more and more and actually get a taste and experience for it, yeah, I'm sure you're gonna get better. You know, it's bound to happen. Especially like if you spend the next 20 years of your life just dedicating your life to a couple things with a decent amount of effort. In 20 years, dude, you'll have a full skill set that'll equip you for like any situation. Like, do plumbing, do electrical, do construction. You can build a whole house with those 3 trades in like 5 years of learning everything. You know, because you don't have to learn how to deconstruct or demo, because you're not demoing anything unless you're like redoing a house. You know, but you'll be able to install all this stuff yourself or do it all yourself, and 5 years you have your own business. If it's something like, for me, I don't know really what I want. I think I want YouTube. I like being able to talk, work on hearing myself, my thoughts just come out vocally instead of writing it down. I do both, but honestly, I do prefer this because I can consciously see how I am thinking once I run out of thoughts. And not to say that I'm running out, I'm just, if I do get like a roadblock, I can pause it, come back, and I'm chilling, you know, and I can restart on the idea I was going on off. So, stop settling. Start pursuing for more. Any aspect of your life. Start doing more. You know, I had a beanie that I wanted to get. I was going to settle for it. When I went to the store, they didn't have the beanie. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to get this hat instead. It was like $50. And that beanie I wanted online was like $15. So I was like, you know, I'll just wait for the beanie. But I kept like wanting to just grab the hat and just run off, so I had something to cover my head with. And I'm glad I settled. Or I'm not glad I settled. I'm glad I didn't settle with the hat, because I went to another store the next day. They had it for $5, and it looked even better than the one online that I wanted to get. So thankfully I got the beanie. I haven't worn it just because I'm still trying to embrace like the buzz cut. I'm just trying to get used to it because I'm self-conscious about it. But just going out in public with it, I feel like will not only help me now, but will help me later, because once I have all my hair again, you know, I'm chilling, I'm Chad Maxing. Dude, I think I'd actually be unstoppable if I had all my confidence back, you know? So, that's what I'm working towards. And just me vocalizing, me, like in person, on here, you know, always practicing my speech, blasting the music on high is something I've been doing when I'm in the car. Trying to just like sing over the music so I can like train my voice to go and talk louder, so I can like pronunciate more and have clearer thoughts. Because once you start to talk louder, I think, you know, you're starting to assert more assertive habits. Like, you know, I think speaking loud is pretty assertive. I'm not saying yell or anything, but just talking louder. I know I did it while I'm making this video right now. It's just, I want, you know, the difference it makes is honestly like unmatched. So, if you're self-conscious about those things, I would recommend doing those. I am going to go into more personal topics just for me pretty soon, that I hope, you know, you can also grasp ideas from, because at the end of the day, if I haven't learned anything in 20 years, that was a poor investment. So that's why I like to make these videos, so I can think and just go over things that have happened in my life that I, like, in retrospect, I can see a different side or point of view, and other people can too, if it's something similar in their life. So, peace out, Girl Scout. I'll see you.
Why you gotta scream like that? Living like you're so carefree. I don't wanna talk right now. Why you gotta be lose myself. I'm a nightmare. Could have had it, but my happiness was right there. Wouldn't let myself have it, and it's not fair. You know it's bad for your health when you're down pretty low. Hey, fighting with yourself, yeah.